Morning, everybody. Brandon here with WX Live with your daily tropical update. It is October 24th, 2025 at 6:10 a.m., a little later than usual today. But we're going to be talking about Tropical Storm Melissa, which has literally just been sitting in the same spot in the Southern Caribbean for about 4 or 5 days now, and is quickly getting its act together, as I'll show you in a second. Before we dive into what's going on with the storm, though, I did want to give a shout out to all my viewers located in the Caribbean. I did a deep dive on my analytics yesterday because I was wondering, who watches the channel, and I just wanted to let you know, Jamaica, I see you. Trinidad and Tobago, I see you. Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Cayman Islands, I see all you guys down there watching these videos, and that's why I make these videos, to keep y'all informed. And I'm super happy that you guys are finding the content informative and helpful. And I just want to give a shout out to all my viewers in the Southern Caribbean. Okay, so getting started here with a general look at what's going on with the storm right now. Latest from the National Hurricane Center is that the max winds of 45 miles an hour, so still a tropical storm. Getting its act together a lot better today than it did in previous days. Because you can start seeing all these mid-level clouds here. If you just kind of look at all these mid-level clouds, even as far as out here, just kind of circulating around this low pressure center that's located right in here somewhere. And you can see all these mid-level clouds here just kind of circulating around. It's even starting to form a nice tail, as we see with a lot of these tropical systems. And then you can see the mid-level clouds here going around, and then also in here the mid-level clouds, and it's got a beautiful exhaust going out the top. It doesn't look like much on the satellite photo. If you're used to seeing a hurricane or a tropical storm that's got a really nice defined eye, a really good solid core of moisture, but in its overall picture, it looks a heck of a lot better than it did yesterday, and I really feel like it's getting its act together rather quickly. I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the day if we saw a isolated core and an eye start forming on the system as soon as it starts moving kind of this way towards Jamaica. So really overall, just a beautiful looking satellite loop. Did want to shout out tropicaltidbits.com, Dr. Levi Cowan, for providing me with all of these graphics and all these satellite images that I use in my videos. I feel like he doesn't get enough credit. He does have his own YouTube channel, Tropical Tidbits. Make sure you give them a sub over there and a watch. He's very informative. Sometimes I think I know what I'm talking about, and then I watch one of his videos and realize I need to go back to school. So he's kind of the grandfather of all this. We're all riding his coattails. He's been making hurricane videos for as long as I can remember. So Dr. Levi Cowan over at tropicaltidbits.com, give him a follow. Okay, so as I was saying before, overall, the health of the hurricane, the tropical storm, soon to be hurricane, looks really good. You can see, if you look really closely, you see this kind of wispy, almost like smoke. You can kind of see it here. You can see a little bit of it here and a little bit of it here. Those are very, very high level clouds. And what they're doing is, you can see here, they're moving this way, which means the upper level winds, so the winds above the hurricane, are still blowing west to east and imparting this kind of shear on the side of the storm, right? And that's why if you kind of look at the storm as like a whole picture, you can see the whole thing is kind of tilted this way. All the exhaust is kind of moving this way away from the storm. And that's kind of telling you that those upper level winds are taking this convection, taking these thunderstorms that are going way up in the atmosphere and kind of blowing them back this way. And so that's kind of what's stopping it from getting a full development right now. But soon it will be moving into a more conducive environment. What kind of happens with these storms is, once they do kind of get strength, they kind of develop their own system. And you're kind of seeing that right now. So I was pointing out all this mid-level flow earlier in the video. And what that kind of tells me is the immediate area around the storm is starting to spin. It's starting to form almost its own like microclimate. And eventually these storms get so big and so tall and so powerful that this little bit of upper level movement on the wind is not really going to do much to it. And it will get stronger. The shear is not too bad right now, but it's just enough to keep this disorganized storm from forming a really organized core. Otherwise, the tropical storm is looking really healthy. And I do expect maybe sometime later today, maybe early tomorrow, we will see one of these convection cores kind of kind of close in and form an eye, and whenever you see that, it'll kind of close itself off from the shear, close itself off from the dry air that's over Cuba, and really get stronger. Okay, so moving on to the National Hurricane Center's official forecast track here, we've got tropical storm and hurricane tropical storm warnings and hurricane watches for the island of Jamaica, and the same for the southern tip of Haiti. If you're in Jamaica, not so much Haiti. I think they're keeping that there because of there's the GFS model is completely out to lunch right now and keeps wanting to turn the storm directly to the north, which actually, if the last few hours, if you plot the movement, it has been moving northeast, but I don't think the storm is actually moving northeast. I think what's happening is, when you have a sheared system, you'll have like the center of the low right here, and you'll have the center of the convection right here, right? And this is where all the thunderstorms and the activities are. And the tropical system wants to be stacked. It doesn't want to be decoupled. It wants to be stacked on top of each other. So this actual center of the low will sometimes snap and move up underneath all the convection, and then you'll get this like big jog to the north or whatever on the plot maps, but really it's just the center bouncing around inside of the storm, finding different levels of convection, trying to form that inner core. And I suspect that's what's happening right now. But I will say, over the past few hours on satellite, this thing is jogging to the northeast. And wouldn't that be something if the whole time the GFS model was right and everybody thought it was smoking? So it'd be interesting to watch. I don't really think so. Like I said, I think it's just a jog, but something to keep a lookout if you're in the southern tip of Haiti. Okay, so this thing is going to be crawling, absolutely crawling. 2 a.m. Monday, which is 4 days from now. It's just moved just this much on the map. I mean, and then that's pretty unprecedented for a storm. And what's going to happen is as it moves south of Jamaica, it's going to just be dumping rain, dumping the bands all over the island. And you have to remember that this is not the area of impact cone. Shout out to Mitch West, by the way. I love the way you say cone. He's a Southern boy, you can tell. But he's the cone. He also says, what does he say? Caribbean instead of Caribbean, or whatever, however you say it. Tomato. But I'm from the South as well. I really like watching Mitch West. If you guys don't know who he is, go ahead and give him a sub on YouTube. But anyways, the cone of impact is not the cone of uncertainty. This cone basically represents where the center of the storm could be anytime between now and 2 a.m. Wednesday. So you have to remember this storm is very large. Okay, so it takes up this entire area. And so if the center is here, you're going to have impacts here, impacts here, impacts here. If the center is here, you're still going to have impacts here, Cayman Islands, things of that nature. So just keep that in mind, folks. This is just where the National Hurricane Center thinks the center of the storm is. And honestly, if it takes this path, it's kind of a worst case scenario for Jamaica, because somebody who's been covering hurricanes for as long as I have, I can tell you that sometimes a direct hit, when it just hits and goes, is better, because the path of destruction for the high winds really isn't that large. You do have a broad area of a wind field, but the actual super high winds, 150, 140 miles an hour, is actually pretty narrow. Most structures will survive, but the big thing is it gets up and gets out of here, right? By its skirting the southern Jamaican coast, what it's actually going to do is dump rain on Jamaica for days and days at a time with these feeder bands pushing up. It's also going to push the storm surge into the coast of Jamaica and have way worse impacts for Jamaica than if it were to just kind of do a hit and go on. And honestly, wish it would go further south. There's a lot of modeling right now that says this thing could take a jog to the southwest and then turn, which would spare Jamaica a lot of heartache. But at this time, the National Hurricane Center doesn't believe that's going to happen. So right now, like I said, it's going to take a little southern track just south of Jamaica and just basically rain on Jamaica. Some forecasts have up to 2 or 3 feet of rain for Jamaica at this point. I can't express this enough. The folks who are watching from Jamaica, I see you in the analytics. I know you're watching. That if this track happens, if it goes south of the island, you are not out of danger. It's just because you don't get a direct hit does not mean that it will not cause problems. The unprecedented amount of rain and wind that this will drop on the island will be very, very serious for as far as mudslides go, inland flooding, storm surge flooding. I mean, it's going to be pretty bad there, and I hope you guys are finishing up your preparations, and I hope you stay safe. Okay, so 2 a.m. Wednesday, it's calling for a kind of swing up over Cuba and into the Bahamas. By the way, I've seen some people commenting. They've got some cruises coming up next week. If you guys are going on a cruise to the Bahamas or the Western Caribbean later this week or early next week, don't bother commenting. I can just go ahead and tell you, enjoy your Eastern Caribbean cruise, because there is no way that they're putting a ship here. I know that Royal Caribbean, one of their most popular cruises, which is like Western Caribbean, leaves from Miami, hits Haiti, then hits Jamaica, then goes to Cozumel, and then goes back. And this entire area is in the bullseyes right now. So there's no way that Royal Caribbean is going to let $1 billion ship sail through here early next week or later this week. So I think what they'll do is probably just shift you to an Eastern Caribbean cruise and kind of take you down here, which I've seen before, or they'll just kind of putter around or maybe do some days out at sea over here. I'm not really sure what their protocol is, but I can tell you that even if you have a Bahamas cruise for next week, this thing's going to turn and go through here. The Bahamas is no good either. Royal Caribbean's private island, which is Coco Cay, is located right here, kind of in the Caribbean, and then Carnival Cruises private island is also located in the Bahamas. So this whole area for this week and early next week, unfortunately, folks, is kind of, for cruises. So I would definitely check your plans. If you have vacation insurance, you may want to change it. But I can tell you one thing's for sure, and the only reason I'm saying this because I've got a lot of people commenting that they are not going to put their $1 billion ships anywhere near this storm next week. So there's your answer for all the people commenting. Make sure you call Royal Caribbean and Carnival and all them and ask them directly. But I don't know what they're going to do, but I can almost guarantee you what they're not going to do is sail into this area of the world later this week or next week. Okay, moving right along, we're going to take a look at the Euro model. This is really the only global model we're going to be looking at today because the forecast at this point is pretty set, and it's pretty dependent on a couple of high pressure systems and a low pressure system developing over the southeast of the United States. But I did want to just kind of show it to you. I think the more important thing right now is intensity. We kind of got the track down. So moving along, this is going to be 5 p.m. on October 24th. So you can see this thing just kind of waddles. It actually takes a dip to the southwest. Like I said before, you can actually see it moving to the southwest on this model run. Sits there, and it almost looks like, oh, hey, Jamaica's going to be spared. It's moving this way. But then as soon as this low pressure trough develops over the southeastern United States, it picks it up, moves it right over the island, over eastern Cuba, over the Bahamas, and then out. So the track has been pretty set for now. There really isn't any uncertainty right now, and I'll show you the ensembles. We got this really cool ensemble thing I found on polarwx.com earlier, and it like takes all the ensembles and put them together. It's a really cool graphic. I'll show you that to you guys in a second. I love it. I got a new toy. I'm geeking out about it. But yeah, the general track is about the same. It's going to move to the south of Jamaica, take a little jog to the southwest. It's going to get picked up by the trough and move out, and we'll kind of nerd out and go over why all that here in a second. Yesterday, the models were showing a lot higher of an intensity than they are today, and we'll take a look at that in a minute too. Okay, so this is the Euro ensemble. I kind of just wanted to show you guys what the grouping is looking like. A lot tighter today than it was yesterday. Yesterday we were looking, something like this at the beginning of the run. Now we're kind of tighter down like this. A lot cleaner, a lot more confidence in the forecast. So moving forward, 12 hours, 24 hours, it stays pretty tight. This is what we like to see, kind of south of Jamaica there. And then this is where stuff kind of starts diverting. We don't know which high pressure ridge is going to be affecting the storm. Starts diverting. And then a lot of the ensemble members, check out how close this thing gets to Central America here with these miles. I mean, this thing is just maybe 50, 60, 70 miles off the shore of Central America there, and that would be bad for the folks of Central America. But if it does get this far west and south, when it turns, there is a chance it misses Jamaica altogether, goes over Cuba and the Bahamas. We're just gonna have to wait and see which one of these plans kind of comes to fruition. But you see more spread, and then the ensemble members basically all take it either over Jamaica, over Cuba, all going through the Bahamas, which is what I was talking about cruises earlier. I mean, there's basically if you're on a Caribbean cruise next week, nowhere safe. So except for down here, you know, if they go around all the way to the southeastern Caribbean, but it's going to be rough for your captain to find you some clean waters. So goes over the Bahamas. There are a couple of these that want to skirt the Florida Keys. If you look right here, this is the Euro model. This is the closest the Euro model ensembles have been to Florida all this week. Yesterday, there were almost none. This week, we have 3 Euro ensemble, or today we have 3 Euro ensemble models that want to take it close to Florida. I don't really think that's going to happen. I think the only way that happens, if you go back and track which of these ensemble members are doing that, it's this one right there. It's this ensemble member right here that's kind of doing that, these right here. And that's what I've been saying all week, that the further west this thing goes before it turns, the more chance it has to interact with Florida and the Keys. But most of the ensemble members don't think it's going to get that far west before it makes its turn and goes over Cuba. All right, so real quick before we nerd out on the whys, check this thing out. This is from polarwx.com/tropical, Tomer Berg. Basically what this is every single ensemble from every single major hurricane and global model on the planet, right? So like, you know, I'll show you, I just showed you the Euro model, which is this one, the Euro ensemble, but there's also the GFS ensemble, the UK Met, the Icon, Google DeepMind, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It takes all of the ensembles and puts them into an ensemble, and then it takes a mean of them and plots all the lines for you, and it kind of gives you like a heat map, right? So the black line is the mean. So all of the ensembles together, you put them all together, where's that mean track? It says it's going to do this, right? Which is basically what the National Hurricane Center falls in almost exactly, and what I was saying earlier as well. And then these blue lines are kind of like that, you know, maybe. The green and the yellow is like, okay, more dense, you know, more confidence here. And these are getting into like the, you know, the kind of out there territory. So I think this is a really cool map. Thanks to polarwx.com for putting this up. But I know you guys in Florida, there's like every video, like 3 dudes from Florida that are like PO'd that it's not coming to Florida because people in Florida are crazy. I'm from Florida, by the way, so don't drag me in the comments. So for all you Floridians that are hoping for a hit, so you're telling me there's a chance. You know, I always got to put that in for you guys because I get comments all the time. Is it coming to Florida? And then you say no, and they go, oh. And if you're not from Florida, don't drag me, bro. That's just how they are there. Anyways, I thought this was a really cool map. I wanted to share it with you guys. Okay, on to the European 500 millibar geopotential height kind of model that shows us like where our features are, where's our steering features at. What you're going to see on this model are, you know, the vortices and the kind of the wind speeds at the 500 millibar height, which is a great steering height for a moderately sized hurricane such as this. And what you look at here is this line that goes, why did that get so skinny all of a sudden? Hello? This program sucks, boys. I'm not going to lie to you. All right, let's start over here. So what you'll see is this thing right here. That is a ridge. That's a high pressure ridge. And the direction of the wind is the direction that the flag is pointing, right? So the skinny part of the flag is pointing towards where the wind is going. And that's not really how meteorologists read it. They say where the wind is coming from. So they'll say, oh, the big part of the flag is where the wind is coming from. But I kind of remember it like wherever the skinny end's pointing, that's where it's going. And then the flag, the more lines that are on the flag, the more powerful the wind is in that spot, right? So it's a very useful tool. So anyways, we got a high pressure ridge right here, and the flow is coming around it in this direction. So anything that gets close to the edge of this high pressure ridge is going to want to push down that way. And now you see why the models are kind of taking the hurricane, and once it meanders this way, it kind of pushes it down towards Central America before it gets brought back out again. So we're going to let the model run. There's also a kind of like a ridge here, or to the east of the hurricane, and it's a weaker ridge, not as strong as this one, and its flow is going like this. So you have one ridge whose flow is wanting to pull the hurricane this way. The other just right next to it is wanting to pull the hurricane this way. And what's the effect, right? It's like one of those machines that throws footballs. It's just going to sit there and spin between the two ridges. There's no real steering current. I think the farther it gets away from this ridge and towards this ridge, this one will start influencing and pushing it back down towards Central America, which we've seen a lot of on the models today. But then eventually this big trough over here will pick it up and carry it out. So let's go ahead and see that play out in time here. So we're 11 a.m. on the 24th, just kind of meandering, going to the south, our little system there going to the south of Jamaica. The ridge is still there, and then it starts pushing it. So you see it gets right up against the edge of that high pressure ridge right there, and it's going to start pushing it down this way. If you look at the flags on the wind flags, you can see why. Okay. And then we're going forward, and then you can see at this point how dark, and there's a lot of lines really close together. So it makes the center of this low pressure system, which is Melissa, look really dark and black. And that just tells you it's getting stronger. And the stronger a hurricane gets, always wants to, they call it finding latitude, which is it wants to go higher in latitude. It's just the nature of the earth and the way the hurricanes work. So the bigger and stronger they get, they kind of always want to curve up. So there's kind of an effect of it like that. And then also this trough building over the United States. I mean, look how powerful this is. Gonna hit, look how strong the winds are on the edge of this, even on the edge over here. And it's going to grab that storm, pick it up, and take it out into the Atlantic. When that happens, exactly when, we're still a little far off from that, but this turn is generally well forecasted at this point. By the way, side note, this is October 30th, so next Thursday, the day before Halloween, this like dip in the jet stream right here is going to bring a ton of polar air down and into Florida. So I haven't even looked at the forecast, but for the day before Halloween and Halloween next week, I bet you it's going to be pretty cold in this region, a lot colder than it usually is. So make sure you get your jackets and everything ready. Now, I'm from Florida. It goes to like 60 and we all freak out. Okay, let's take a look at the HAFS B model here. By the way, if you're ever watching a channel and they show you the HAFS A model, I don't really like that model because it's a global model. A lot of people will say, oh, we're going to look at global models, and they'll like show you the Euro, and they're like, now we're going to look at hurricane specific, not global models. And then they'll show you the HAFS A. The HAFS B is the Atlantic specific, hurricane specific model by NOAA. HAFS A is a global hurricane model. So it is modeling the hurricane, but it's taking global influence into account. I think the HAFS B is more accurate because it uses the aircraft reconnaissance data from NOAA. It uses the high data basin, Atlantic basin info, and it just concentrates on this area. So I think it's a little more accurate than the HAFS A. Let's move it forward here. We're still disorganized. Going forward, 993 low. And now we're starting to get our act together as we're approaching Jamaica. Look at all the feeder bands going up into Haiti here, which is why you have those tropical storm and hurricane warnings into Haiti. I would expect also some storm surge warnings and some flood warnings, because as this thing moves closer and closer and these bands are kind of moving around this way, they're going to push the ocean into this bottom shore of Haiti right here. So if you live along the coast of Haiti right here, make sure you get to your high ground. Stay safe during this. It shouldn't be so bad if it takes this course, but it will be moderate storm surge flooding, and you do want to stay safe. Remember, you shelter from wind, you run from water. Okay, so moving along here, we're looking at 5 a.m. on October 25th as it's approaching the island of Jamaica, getting its act together, 979, 977, now 973. So we're talking about a strong Cat 2, maybe a Cat 3 hurricane here approaching the coast of Jamaica. 57 or 967, 964, 963. And on this model run, it kind of just goes the coast and then just scrapes the coast all the way down, which honestly is a terrible scenario. I mean, because the National Hurricane Center had it like down here, and we were talking about rain, but if the eye wall just scrapes the entire island, that's not great either. Not as strong as yesterday. I will say the HAFS B yesterday had this thing at 888. Which is a whole different story than this one. And when it kind of makes landfall, it's 964. So we're talking, Cat 2, Cat 3 range, not 888. That would have been crazy. So yeah, it kind of just scrapes the coast, goes up, kind of entering near the Kingston area, and then kind of just scrapes the coast, goes up and crosses over Cuba and then into the Bahamas. Okay, we're going to take a look at the HWRF model. It's another hurricane-specific model we like to look at. I think this model does a really good job of intensity more than track. So 978, 974, 960, kind of doing the same thing the HAFS-B model is, right towards the tip of Jamaica, down near the Kingston area, and then scrapes the coast and then makes a turn to the north. I mean, almost exactly the same path as the HAFS-B. Let's check out the intensity, 952. That's pretty strong. 940. So we're talking about a strong category 3 at this point, maybe a category 4 as it goes on land into the Kingston area of Jamaica, and then kind of turns north and heads over to Cuba. Okay, I wanted to take a quick look at the Google DeepMind here. This is the AI model from Google. Been doing really good for us this year. It kind of does this weird loop-de-loop, which I kind of just take that as artifacts, static, right? The model has to put out something, but if the storm is just wiggling around like this, then what's it really going to do? Going to do a little loop-de-loop down and then back up. It's going to hit the western coast as a category 4 hurricane of Jamaica. Kind of starkly different, if you guys remember, from those two hurricane models we just looked at. Kind of takes this southern dig and then goes up. And I think those hurricane models aren't really taking into account that high pressure ridge I was telling you about here that's going to be pushing the storm down before it gets pulled up. So I actually think the dip is going to be deeper than this. I think the storm is going to do something like this and then back up. That would be the best case scenario for the people of Jamaica. I really hope that happens because the flooding and the landslides here are going to be absolutely terrible if that HAFS-B model plays out. It's going to be pretty bad there. Okay, let's take a look at the 3-day rainfall forecast here from the National Hurricane Center. So one thing to remember about this graphic, 3-day rainfall forecast. So this is only forecasting rain 3 days out. So over the next 3 days, what is your total rain accumulation going to be? As we just saw from the models and the forecast, it is farther than 3 days out where this thing is going to be getting close to Jamaica. So this is not even modeling all of the rain you're going to get. And already, you know, if we look here in the Kingston area, we're talking 68 inches of rain over the next 3 days. And over here on the eastern tip of Jamaica, we're talking 8 to 12 inches already. And you're flirting with that red area, which is 12 to 16 inches. The National Hurricane Center is saying isolated areas of 12 plus inches are possible over the next 3 days. So remember, the storm event is longer than 3 days at this point. But over the next 3 days, you could have isolated over a foot of rain on the island of Jamaica. Now, as this hurricane moves farther this way, you can see that the island will be enveloped by this brown and red color. And if it moves a little more north, even the pink color, which is 20 to 30 inches or 500 to 750 millimeters of rain over the next 3 days. Like not the next 3 days, but when it does move over the 3 days where the hurricane is closest. That is an unfathomable amount of rain. Okay, folks, that's all I got for you today. Remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell for the notifications. You may notice that this channel is called WX Live, not WX Talk About Hurricanes from my office, because we are actually set up to do live hurricane storm chasing, live winter storm chasing, live tornado storm chasing, but the opportunity has not presented itself yet this year for us to do that. So I am putting out this content in the interim. But if you go ahead and give us a subscription and hit that bell so that whenever we do go live from a hurricane, you will get notified right away and get some really awesome content out of it. But for now, if you guys are in the Southern Caribbean, please stay safe, get your preparations ready, and for now, we'll see you next time.